All right, I've done a previous one or two videos regarding Donna Edwards, and I'm a big Donna Edwards fan. She hopefully will beat out Chris Van Hollen for the United States Senate seat for the state of Maryland. Barbara Murkowski is the longtime member, and she is retiring. I have several issues with the Congressional Black Caucus PAC. Okay, they have not endorsed Donna Edwards, and I am completely upset with them. Now, it's my understanding that some members of the Congressional Black Caucus have, in fact, endorsed her, and she's got a lot of endorsement for the unions and various groups situated in the state of Maryland. But in my mind, the Congressional Black Caucus PAC not endorsing her basically invalidates any authority that they have as far as leadership is concerned. This woman is a warrior. She's been a warrior in the House of Representatives for people's rights. In this video, you'll get a little bit of the background, but she really is someone that we need in the Senate. And I'm going to make some comments after the clip is done. But you need to get some background, and this particular clip, I believe, really lays out the good things about Donna Edwards.
Our next guest, she desires to become the next U.S. Senator from Maryland, only the 10th in history, only the second black woman. She's facing Congressman Chris Van Hollen in the Maryland U.S. Senate battle. Joining us right now on the show is Congresswoman Donna Edwards. Congresswoman, glad to have you on the show.
Thank you. To be with you.
When you look at various polls, they show either neck and neck or you slightly ahead. You got 29 folks running for, actually a couple of one has dropped out. So you got nearly 30 folks running for mayor in Baltimore. Are you expecting a significant turnout next Tuesday among African Americans, and how could that aid your candidacy?
Well, I think already we started early voting in Maryland. We have 2 more days to go to early vote, and we've already seen high numbers in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and also in Prince George's County, and I think that bodes well for Election Day. A lot of people want to get their votes cast as early voting closes on the coming Thursday. And we have a very robust operation to get out every single voter. And I think those contested elections for mayor and council races in Baltimore City, contested congressional race in Prince George's County for my seat, and also in Montgomery County for Mr. Van Hollen's seat, bode well for turnout.
I find it interesting that Maryland has such a high percentage of black voters, and there's never been an African American elected statewide in Maryland.
Well, and I think, and we have a strong Democratic Party registration, and so I think that this is on Democrats to figure out both in this election, how do we make history? That's one thing, but also how do we make a difference for Maryland's working families, for middle-class families, and for vulnerable communities, our urban core that needs to be rebuilt, and who is best to carry that message and that vision and that perspective into the United States Senate. I think in 2016, I'm the best candidate for that.
Yesterday was the first anniversary of Freddie Gray's death. How has that story, that issue, impacted this race between you and Congressman Van Hollen?
Well, I think that some of the issues that people are concerned about is I've traveled all across the city of Baltimore and frankly around our state, and people who want solutions and responses to police accountability, to law enforcement transparency, to rebuilding the urban core, housing sector that is falling apart, an education system where depending on what zip code you're in, you get a better education than other folks, and jobs and opportunities, second chances. All of these issues have really come up, and I think frankly the robustness of the participation that I've seen in Baltimore City around the mayor's race and around the council races is indicative that people want change, but they also know that these elections are about making a difference for all those communities.
Congressman Van Hollen has an ad. Let's play that, where he questions your competency to do the job.
Why is Donna Edwards falsely attacking Chris Van Hollen?
Because she doesn't want to run on her own record.
Edwards was ranked one of the least effective members of Congress.
Dead last among all Democrats.
And the least willing to find common ground.
It's why the Post said Edwards was allergic to compromise, just like Tea Party
In relation
Republicans.
to this particular commercial, he has also criticized you, saying you focus too much on gender and race. How do you respond to that?
Well, let me just first say, I think that those attacks are ridiculous. I have a record of accomplishment. I serve in our leadership in the House of Representatives. The first piece of legislation I actually got passed was to add Maryland to something called the After School Suppers Program, delivering suppers for children who are vulnerable. You know why I could see it? Because I'm a mom, and that perspective is really needed in the United States Senate. Look, I think that race and gender are important things. They're not. It's not the only reason that people vote for others, but here's a fact. We have a United States Senate, 100 senators, 20 women, no African-American women in the United States Senate. African-American women, who are the backbone of the Democratic Party, who provide more votes, have higher registration, higher participation than any other demographic group. I think it's important for our voices, all of our voices collectively, to be heard in the Senate, and more importantly, for somebody who's walked in the shoes of middle-class families, who knows what it's like to struggle for the rent and the electric and, juggling daycare. Those are perspectives that are really needed in the U.S. Senate when it comes to making public policy that impacts the lives of working people, and those are working people no matter where they fall in our state, on our eastern shore, in our urban core, and the metropolitan Washington suburbs. And I believe that I can provide the best direction for Marylanders and for the country, frankly, on these issues that impact communities all across the country.
If there was one defining issue that defines you and Congressman Van Hollen, what would that be?
Well, I think it is about perspective and the perspective that one brings to the job. And look, and who's going to be in there fighting for working people? Who's going to be there fighting for Social Security? Because we know that among communities of color, Social Security is not just a program, it's a value, and it's the bedrock principle of our party. Who's going to be in there fighting for small businesses, our minority and women-owned businesses that are actually creating jobs in our communities? And I believe that I bring those best interests of some of our most vulnerable communities into the United States Senate. And I think it's just like Shirley Chisholm said, if there's not a seat for you at the table, bring a folding chair. And we're going to take our folding chairs on April 26th, right on into November, into the United States Senate.
You now got less than a week before folks go to the polls. When it comes to the folks who are endorsing you, are you bringing in any prominent individuals to go door to door to push folks to vote? What is that plan in the final week of campaigning?
Well, just over this last week, former congressman and former head of the NAACP, Kwesi Mfume, endorsed my campaign in candidacy, and he's been very active in the campaign. Yesterday, State's Attorney, Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby endorsed my campaign. A lot of the younger generation council members and delegates in Baltimore and through Prince Rogers County have endorsed my campaign. And virtually almost every single union in our state, because they know that I'm going to be in there to be a fighter for working people and for working families. And so I feel proud about the campaign that we're running. But the endorsement, that counts the most, Roland, is the endorsement that comes with voters who are casting their votes now for early vote and who are going to cast their votes on April 26th.
Have you been surprised by the lack of support from Congressional Black Caucus members?
Well,
and other members who actually endorsed you?
Well, you're referring to the Congressional Black Caucus PAC, which did not endorse me, but I have the support of many members of the Black Caucus, Gwen Moore, Yvette Clark, Lacey Clay, Cedric Richmond, Jim Clyburn. There's a long list, Hank Johnson, there's a long list of folks who've been supporting. I think I've received campaign contributions from about half of the Congressional Black Caucus, so I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to this election, so that voters can have their chance to make a decision about who's going to bring progressive values into the United States Senate, the values of working people and the values of communities of color all throughout our state and across the country.
All right, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a bunch, and we'll see what happens on Tuesday.
We will.
Thanks a bunch, folks.
All right. Couple of things. One, I'm going to take some time, and I am going to get a list of all of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus PAC, and I am going to dig deep into where these guys are coming from, because their lack of endorsement for Donna Edwards is an affront to black people everywhere. Okay, now just so in case you didn't know, Chris Van Hollen is a white member of the House of Representatives, and he comes out of Prince George County, Maryland. If you weren't aware, Prince George County, Maryland is one of the richest counties in the state of Maryland. And Mr. Van Hollen is definitely entrenched in the establishment of the Democratic Party. Donna Edwards is a fighter, and she does not go along to get along. Now, you have a certain segment that are Ted Cruz followers. What is Ted Cruz always saying? I will not compromise. I will fight for your rights. I will do this. I will do that. And I'm not backing up. Well, here is Donna Edwards. She's on the other side of the spectrum. She is saying that she doesn't want to compromise. She wants to fight for the rights of middle class and people who are unable to defend themselves. This is exactly the kind of person that we need in the Senate to kick Ted Cruz's ass once we can turn that Senate from Republican back to Democrat. So Donna Edwards is a person that I pray is successful in her campaign to become a senator from the state of Maryland. We need to support her both with dollars if we are able to, but definitely with any type of videos or word of mouth or whatever. If you know people in Maryland, and I do, I've already spoken to them, and they are definitely supporting Donna Edwards. So hopefully next Tuesday she will kick Chris Van Hollen's ass. She will win the nomination for the Senate seat. And Maryland is heavily Democratic, so if she gets this nomination, she will win in November.